Meet Arthur. He is standing in a doorway, frozen at the exact threshold of a choice that will dictate the rest of his life. In one potential future, he steps left. He walks into a brutalist, high-stakes boardroom where he will lead a ruthless corporate takeover and build an empire of cold efficiency. In the other future, he steps right. He enters a warmly lit, chaotic kitchen where he will spend his years laughing with his family, trading power for profound connection. Because his foot has not yet hit the floor, neither of these realities is fixed. Yet inside Arthur's mind, both timelines are playing out with absolute clarity. Both are completely real. Right now, he is experiencing a macroscopic superposition. This is a state where a human being holds multiple, deeply conflicting futures in equal suspension, entirely trapped by potential. The true source of human anxiety at the precipice of a decision is not the fear of making the wrong choice. It is the realization that selecting one timeline inherently murders all alternate realities. To understand Arthur's psychological paralysis, we have to look to the hard science of quantum mechanics. This illustrates the Copenhagen interpretation. Subatomic particles exist in all possible states simultaneously, swirling in a cloud of pure probability. But the instant an external system interacts with that particle, an act called observation, those pathways snap into a single fixed physical state. In 1935, Austrian physicist Erwin Schrödinger found this idea absurd when scaled up, and he devised a critique to prove it. He proposed a thought experiment: place a live cat inside a sealed steel box and tether its survival to a single random quantum event, like the decay of a radioactive atom. The math dictates that until an observer actually opens the box to look inside, the universe treats the cat as existing in a simultaneous state of being alive and dead. Schrödinger intended this experiment to mock the idea of applying subatomic rules to everyday objects. Instead, storytellers realized this suspended dual reality is a perfect framework for exploring the human condition. Masterful science fiction weaponizes quantum ambiguity, transforming the science from a passive setting into the rigid structural framework of the plot. Writers employ a method called the rule of one concept. They introduce a single microscientific premise, like a memory implant or a time inversion, and continuously escalated stakes to ask a massive philosophical question. This logic flowchart maps Schrödinger's physics directly onto our character. Arthur's isolated mind is the sealed box, and his two potential lives are the cat. To generate narrative tension, these opposing realities must remain deeply entangled, intrinsically linked until the climax forces an outcome. A masterful sci-fi narrative deliberately traps the audience in this pre-collapsed wave function, using that agonizing suspension of reality to generate maximum emotional impact. Back in the doorway, Arthur's mind reaches a state of maximum entropy. The cold architecture of the boardroom and the warm wood of the kitchen oscillate violently, physically bleeding into one another. Maintaining a state of superposition requires perfect, timeless isolation, but the steady, linear progression of time eventually forces a measurement. Then comes the exact moment of silence. Arthur exhales, makes his definitive choice, and physically steps into one reality. This is the psychological equivalent of wave function collapse. It is the precise instant a physical decision forces a quantum system out of infinite potential into a single permanent state. The unchosen reality instantly dissolves from existence. All of its associated joys and sorrows evaporate, leaving only the singular, irreversible timeline he just created. The underlying physics of the universe thrives on infinite, swirling probabilities and mathematical branches. But the human experience demands strict, linear progression. To truly live a reality, a person must be brave enough to act as the observer, decisively collapsing the wave function of their own infinite possibilities.